In 1925, one of the very first airfields in the Inland Empire was opened near the corner of La Cadena and Mount Vernon, where the La Cadena Event Center and Colton American Legion Hall are now located. It was opened by aviator cowboy Roman C. Warren and was named Warren Field. Roman made a living with his open cockpit biplane by giving flying lessons, doing stunt flying, and dropping handbills over Colton, advertising the Poly Oil Company. He always wore a cowboy hat or his leather flying helmet and goggles. On January 2nd, 1926, he flew to Los Angeles for the day on business. He was across the street from a bank when he saw two men walk in and started robbing the bank. Did he call the police? No. Instead, wearing his trademark cowboy hat, he went to a nearby business and unsuccessfully tried to buy a gun. Undaunted, he went next door to a gas station and found a loaded .45 caliber revolver and borrowed it. He stepped outside and seeing the bandits escaping, he shot one of them. Was he arrested? Nope. He became a hero. On February 24th, 1926, a French pilot died while trying to fly through the 150-foot tall arch of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Roman was not impressed. He knew he could have done it, so he came up with an idea. He would fly under the new arched Mission Bridge in Riverside. Unlike the 150-foot tall arch, this one was only 32 feet. His next big question was how he could make money from it. He had several ideas. First, he wanted to get his friend at Poly Oil to sponsor him in exchange for letting them advertise how their gas was so good, he bet his life on it. The second way was a bit questionable. It was mentioned in the Colton Courier that bookies were receiving many bets on if he could do it. And because of the Eiffel Tower event, most of the bets were on him failing. It was never revealed who was betting he could succeed. The last thing was he hired motion picture cameramen to film the event for use in future movies. He figured regardless of the outcome, the studios would pay for the rights to use the footage. Workers spent days clearing brush along the river to make room for the crowds. People lined both banks and stood on the bridge to watch the event. Roman wanted to make the event more than just one flight under the bridge, so he flew over Colton and Riverside and did the aerobatics to get the crowd revved up. When it was time for the big event, Roman had one last trick up his sleeve. As he roared down the river at 125 miles per hour, at the very last second, he appeared to chicken out and pulled up sharply into a steep climb, just missing the bridge. It was reported that men screamed and women fainted. The people that bet against him were ecstatic. Then he circled for a few minutes and went for the money shot. His second approach was perfect, and he rocketed through the bridge perfectly with cameras rolling. In the next few days, his flight was the headlines of many newspapers across the country. It was his 15 minutes of fame. He was anointed by the press as the world's greatest pilot until the following year, when an unknown pilot named Charles Lindbergh inherited that title. Roman sold his Colton airstrip and moved to Riverside and became the manager of the Riverside Airport for a number of years. A few years later, he unsuccessfully ran for county sheriff and then later was elected to the Board of Supervisors. He died in 1991 at the age of 98.